You're listening to How to Win with Mike Moore, the podcast that provides you with practical insights on how to win in every arena of life.
Hello, I'm Mike Moore, and welcome to the How to Win podcast. These podcasts are based off 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14. It says, "Now thanks be unto God who always causes us to triumph in Christ." Listen, I'm so glad to have you with us today. We're going to have a wonderful time. In our previous episode, we introduced our new podcast format. In this format, we're going to have discussions. By the way, I have my beautiful daughter with us today. She is gorgeous. Tiffany is the director of my podcast. So I decided, rather than her just being behind the camera, there were going to be times she's going to be in front of the camera with me. So I want you to welcome Tiffany to our podcast today. Tiffany, so happy to have you with us.
Yes.
In this new format, we're going to have discussions. Tiffany and I, we're going to talk about different topics, and then I'm going to do some interviews with individuals, and then I'm going to have a segment where I share thoughts that God put on my heart. It's just going to be one-on-one between me and you. Listen, let us know what you think about the new format. I believe it's going to be a blessing. I believe you're going to be a blessing. Let us know in the chat what you think about some of the things we're talking about. Today, Tiffany and I are going to talk about living with purpose. Living with purpose. Tiffany, are you living with purpose?
I feel like this is a purpose moment. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling like this
You looking clean.
Listen,
look at you looking clean. You got your outfit on, your socks on.
We're doing something new. We're doing something. You ain't mentioned my glasses. I gotta look at these glasses.
Go ahead. Matching everything.
Matching and
your
stuff like
and
this. Is the new format.
Okay.
This how to win.
Listen, you live in purpose already.
I'm winning.
Yes.
I'm winning. Are you winning? We want you to win. So we're going to talk about living with purpose today. And I am doing my very best to live out my God-given purpose. So I'm going to ask you a question before we get in our discussion. Are you living with purpose? Are you living aimlessly? Are you wishing? When I was a little kid, we would they have birthday parties and they put the candles on the cake and you had to blow out the candles and make a wish. I submit to you that many people are living life like that. They're just kind of wishing. And there was a time as a kid I wanted to be a cowboy. There was a time I wanted to be a fireman. There was a time I wanted to be a professional athlete, didn't end up being any of it. So are you wishing or are you living life on purpose?
Yeah, I think that's good because I think a lot of us, as little, we have so many ideas of how our life should go and we are not intentional. So when you think about the word purpose means intent, right? Mm-hmm. So you're being intentional. I feel like this is even an intentional moment with us. Ever since we were little, did our first commercial together and I was just blinking away. I feel like that had purpose.
Absolutely.
To kind of where we at now. So I feel that purpose is all about being intentional. So what does purpose mean for you?
I believe that purpose is the reason.
Yeah.
I believe that is the reason why we're on planet Earth. Mm-hmm. I believe it is the God-given reason why God put us on the earth, which is profound, because I submit to you and others that are listening to us, many people don't realize that there's a reason why we exist. There's a reason why we're on the planet.
Yeah.
And it's a God-given reason. So I believe purpose is the reason for our existence. What do you think about purpose?
Yeah, I feel like purpose is your calling. You know, that sounds so religious, but I think that's
No,
really
no, I
what
think
it
that's a good.
is.
I
You
think
know,
it is a calling.
I feel like it's a calling, and I feel like purpose makes a difference. So I feel like whatever it is that you call to, or whatever it is that you are purpose to, will make a difference for somebody else. So I don't think purpose is a selfish thing. I think that you will get some stuff out of it, but I don't think purpose is like a selfish thing. I think purpose is intended to be for other people.
Okay.
That's kind of like my thought about it. Yeah.
What do you think about purpose? What is purpose? What do you think about purpose? And I think in this episode, you're going to learn a lot about purpose. We're going to talk about things like, how do I discover my purpose? We're going to talk about, how do I align goals? How do I reach my full potential? Everybody wants to do that. How do I do that? What happens if I'm not operating by purpose? We're going to cover a lot today.
Yeah. So I think purpose is good in the biblical stance, but I think purpose can be for unbelievers too. I know this is a Christian-based thing, but I think that purpose is important for every purpose, but for every person. But why do you feel like purpose is important?
Well, I think you mentioned is for everybody. Okay, for everybody. I think that's good, because
Do you think that's true?
I think it's absolutely true. I think that God has a purpose for everybody.
Yeah.
Not just Christians.
Yeah.
I think God has a purpose for everybody. It's unfortunate that many people don't discover their God-given purpose. And then some people discover it, but they never actually walk it out in a God-glorifying way. But back to the question, why is purpose important? Purpose is important because purpose is the key to fulfillment.
Yeah.
Now think about that. It is the key to fulfillment. Now, when I talk about fulfillment, I'm talking about that sense of significance, sense of meaning, sense that I'm making a difference.
Yeah.
But when I think about the world, because in life there are two views of life. There's a biblical view of life, and then there's the world view of life.
Right.
Well, from a worldly standpoint, a just humanistic standpoint, success is related to position. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
The position that you have.
Right.
Like we have a president election coming up, and the country will select a new president. That's a position.
Yeah.
Success is connected to power.
Yeah.
In the world.
Yeah.
Success is connected to wealth in the world, status in the world. The problem with the world's view is that you can have wealth, you can have power, you have position and status, and yet not have fulfillment.
Yeah.
Not have fulfillment. The key to fulfillment is purpose, discovering your purpose.
Yeah.
That's why you think about it, Tiffany. Think about all the people who climbed the ladder of success, and they got this powerful position, and they got this wealth, and they got all that. And I believe God wants us to have it.
Yeah.
And then they commit suicide.
Yeah.
Why would a person with wealth and status and power and position commit suicide? It's a lack of purpose.
That's very unfortunate, because like I think about some of the people in the past who you've seen, like that one young lady, she was a pageant winner. It looks like you're walking in purpose, right?
Right.
But on the inside, it was some other things. Do you think that has to do with the purpose being connected with God that makes the difference? Because we talked about everybody having it, but I feel like that fulfillment part comes from the connection with God.
I think the fulfillment comes with the connection from God too.
Yeah.
And I think when I say that everyone has purpose, I'll use some instances. I believe that certain athletes were gifted by God to be athletes.
Yeah.
I believe some entertainers were gifted by God to be entertainers, whether they be singers or dancers. I believe that politicians were gifted by God to be politicians. The thing that makes purpose meaningful and significant is that God-given purpose is I take that talent that God gave me, I take that capacity, that ability, that skill set, whatever it is, it's an endowment and it came from God.
Yeah.
How do I glorify God with it?
Yeah.
You see, I can be endowed with a gift.
Yeah.
Let's take rappers. Sometimes you see a rapper, it is incredible how they can put language in different contexts and connect music to it.
Right. The beats
that's a gift.
Yeah,
It's a gift that God gives them. But see, I can take a gift and it can be about me.
Yeah.
And it'll be about what blesses me, what helps me. And then I can even take a gift and want you to get blessed by it, but I have no intent to glorify God with it.
Right.
No intent. Yet it was something that God gave me. So the issue is not that God hadn't endowed people with different gifts and talents and abilities.
Yeah.
Is who are we magnifying through those abilities? Are we magnifying God, or are we magnifying self? Are we magnifying Satan, as strange as that may seem? Because nobody in their right mind wants to magnify Satan.
Right. When I think about purpose, I kind of think about it. Could it be seasonal? Like, I know we have a thing that God tells us to do, right? Can you have multiple purposes? And then also, can a purpose be seasonal? Because I think a lot of times people can get into those challenges. Because if we're being realistic, walking in your purpose don't always feel good, because sometimes you may not see. I laugh about this all the time, because I'd be like, well, why would God tell me, give me a vision of what's to come, but it's going to be 10 years later from now? Like, why did you even start giving me that vision in the beginning? So do you think that purpose is a seasonal thing? What do you feel about purpose and the timing of purpose? And
okay, let's talk about, and timing will be another thing.
Okay, yeah.
But let's talk about what you said. You said, why would God give me this, and it's going to be 10 years later?
Right.
Okay. Well,
because most of the people in the Bible, you think about like God, and again, we are going to talk about timing later, but when you think about God giving them, visions and dreams, is,
Okay. I'll give you a classic illustration.
Okay.
When Joseph was a teenager.
Yeah.
Joseph had dreams.
Yeah.
And he had dreams about him leading people and people bowing and all that. And yet his dream, and he was communicating his dream at the age of 17.
Yeah.
And they were God-given dreams. He didn't actually walk in it until he was 30.
50 years later.
No, not 50, 17 years later. But listen at this. Let's talk about this. And I want you to listen at this, because this is a good subject. Most people want to know about purpose and how I can discover my purpose and all this, how I fulfill my purpose and all that. But here's something that's very important. Purpose is a journey. Okay? It's a journey.
Yeah.
But not only is it a journey, it's progressive. But not only is it a journey and progressive, it's seasonal.
Yeah.
Okay, it's seasonal. So the purpose journey may start out with me being in a house with 4 people.
Yeah.
Okay. But I got purpose on my life.
Right.
In fact, even though I was talking to 4 people, and that's how our church started, 4 people in our den, purpose was on my life. And God saw all those 46 years of me walking out purpose, okay? But purpose is progressive.
Yeah.
You don't start off walking in the fullness of purpose. There are stages, there are levels. Purpose begins as a seed, okay? And then I walk it out, and different levels, different stages of purpose. Watch this, different seasons. So for 46 years, I was a pastor.
Yeah.
Now I'm the head of Mike Moore Ministries. I'm traveling. I'm speaking to the body, to the universal church. Okay. I'm still in purpose.
Yeah.
But it's just a different season of my purpose. And that's true of everyone. Most people get stuck. They get stuck in one season, or they get stuck in one stage, or they get stuck in one level.
Yeah.
You are so smart.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I wonder who I got that from. Oh, when you think about purpose, it would be almost not wise to talk about hearing God's voice when it comes to purpose. If anybody knows you, there was a point in time where you thought you was going to be a lawyer, right? And so I think sometimes people can have an idea of where they're going, but they miss God's voice and what it is. So how do you navigate that? Because I do think that there are some people who feel like they are living in purpose when it comes to certain things, but are they really hearing God's voice when it comes to their purpose? Do you think that God gives us grace to figure that out?
Yeah, I think God is so wise, so loving and so kind that he is, by his Spirit. I think we have to talk before salvation, because somehow we think that our purpose began when we get born again.
Yeah.
Okay, no. Let's talk for a minute, and then I'll get to the point of people not sure about it. What do you think is the origin of purpose? Let's talk about that. What do you think when I ask you, Tiffany, what is the origin of purpose? What do you think?
So it goes back to what you say. You have to think about who created whatever it is it created. What was the meaning for it? So let's say if you have Legos, what was the meaning for the creator who created Legos, right? So what was the intent of the originator of that thing, right?
So to find fulfillment, watch this now, and not just success.
Yeah.
Because some people are finding success, but not fulfillment.
Yeah.
Okay? To find fulfillment, you have to understand that the origin of purpose is God.
Yeah.
Okay? And purpose predated our birth. It predated us getting saved. It predated us getting called.
Yeah.
So in eternity past, God established our purpose. For example, Jeremiah 29:11. Here's what Jeremiah 29:11 says. It says, "For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end or a hopeful future." That's Jeremiah 29:11. But in Jeremiah 1:5, God says to Jeremiah, he says, "Jeremiah, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." Now let's stop. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And he says, before you were born, I sanctify or set you apart and ordain you a prophet to the nations. So that tells us that before we are born, God in eternity past decides a plan, a purpose, his will for us, a direction for us before we are born. Now that's before we say.
Yeah.
So taking me for example, I think that God puts the seed of purpose in our life as kids.
Yeah.
As kids.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know it. We may never walk it out. But as a child, I had this desire to go to church. I had this desire to learn. And even as an 11-year-old or 12-year-old, the teacher let me teach the class because I was asking so many questions.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't even born again.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about purpose, but God was planning purpose. Take your god sister, my goddaughter, Constance, as a little kid.
Yeah.
She would come over to our house. I remember one time I was walking down the hall. Constance was in a room.
Yeah.
And when I walked by, I just heard somebody in the room talking, like, sit down, be quiet, shut up. And Constance is a little girl. She a little girl. And I walked by, backed up and walked by looking in there. She was talking to these invisible students. And she was a kid.
That's sweet.
Okay, now she's in education.
Right.
She's taught, she's in education. Why? Because God plants purpose in us even before we're born again, even before we say. The purpose of God is planted in everybody.
Yeah.
Now the issue is how it's nurtured and how it can be squelched. It can be nurtured. It can be cultivated.
I was going to talk to you about that. So in the area that I'm at, it's a lot of homeless people around me. And so one of the guys, he just randomly come up and talk to me. You know, we have conversations. And so he was talking to me how his mom ended up passing away. And so he ended up being on the streets because of his mom passing away or whatever. And so how do you speak to the person who was in a trajectory to go in one way, but through life circumstances, it kind of throws them off balance?
Well, you know, here's my thoughts about it. I think the very step to discovering purpose, the very first step is to talk to God, to listen to God.
Yeah.
If he is the originator, then he knows your purpose. Yeah. He created your purpose. We're talking through microphones.
Yeah.
Okay. You wouldn't ask the microphone, what is your purpose? You wouldn't ask the microphone, what's your purpose?
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, you wouldn't even ask me what the purpose of the microphone. If you really want to know the purpose of this microphone, you need to talk to the manufacturer. Yeah. The manufacturer knows more about this microphone than anybody else. If God is the creator, and I believe he is, then he knows more about us and his plan for us than anybody else. Yeah. So really it begins with talking to God. In an interesting way, even before I was saved, I was talking to God. I had learned to talk to God, like, help me, like, God. I just felt like, I felt like I wanted to do something. Yeah. You know, and I think everybody feels that tug of wanting to be something, wanting to do something, wanting to go somewhere. And I believe much of that is God.
I guess my question was more of, what do you do when you get outside of that purpose? Like, life happens and then now you're outside of that person, outside of purpose. So what do you do when you're walking outside of that purpose?
Well, can I back up for a moment? Okay. And you know I like talking the scenic. You know I like taking the scenic routes. Okay. You know I like taking the scenic route.
Take us to scenic route.
Can we talk about discovering it and then we talk about walking outside of it? Okay. Let me give you some keys. And I taught some of this years ago. Give you some keys to discovering your purpose. Number one, listen to God. talk to God. Ask God what your purpose is. Talk to him.
Yeah.
Ask him. He wants you to know. Okay. Number 2, listen to your dissatisfaction.
Let me stop you there. So you said talk to God. What does God sound like?
Well, God sounds like a lot of things.
Yeah.
He sounds like a lot of things. So let me go through the thing, and then I'll show you he sounds like a lot of things.
Okay.
Because see, when we say listen to God, we think God gonna say your purpose is
Right.
You know,
Audible.
no.
Yeah.
God does speak that way sometimes, but he speak other ways. Listen, number 2, to your dissatisfaction. What are you dissatisfied? What bothers you? My example, in Sunday school, in church, as a teenager now, okay, because I'm interested in things, not born again, but I'm interested. And I would sit in church and listen to the pastor.
Yeah.
And I did not understand what the pastor was saying. And it bothered me.
Yeah.
It bothered me. I would leave church and I'm frustrated because my pastor was very educated and he would use words. And I didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. I was dissatisfied because it wasn't clear. I was dissatisfied because it wasn't plain to me. So when I got called and I first started preaching, I would go to the library and I would get children books, Bible story, children books, and I would read the story in a children's book because I wanted it to be plain.
Right.
Okay, where did that come from?
Yeah.
That came from a dissatisfaction. What are you dissatisfied with? What bothers you? Many times, what bothers us, God is speaking to our dissatisfaction because there are times he wants us to do something about what we're dissatisfied.
That's kind of how my YouTube channel started off. I wanted people to be able to work out at home and be able to, because weight was a big thing for me. I want people to be able, especially for African American people, I wanted that to be something that people really could do. So I do think that it is a dissatisfaction. But it's so funny though that you say that, because it's like you wanted to answer dissatisfaction. However, you still thought you was going to be a lawyer. Did you think that was going to help solve some of the dissatisfaction you had with teaching?
Well, see, you understand, none of this. I knew none of this. I knew
So it was like a lack of knowledge.
Yeah, it was a lack of knowledge, but God was directing me, see?
Gotcha.
And I believe that God is directing us even when we are not. Because really, all I'm doing now as a minister is stating my case.
Right.
And then giving my proof text to why I'm giving evidence to why. Okay, God is always directing us.
Yeah.
He doesn't just speak through words. He speaks to the inward witness. He speaks through words, but sometimes that dissatisfaction, and then sometimes he's speaking through people.
Yeah.
People, listen to people. People will validate your gift. People will validate your talent. Once I got in church, start teaching Sunday school, I didn't know it. See, I'm walking in purpose, but I don't know it.
Yeah.
People will say, I like when you teach Sunday school class because you make it plain.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, now people are validating my gift. And then there's another thing. What are your talents?
Yeah.
God puts in you your abilities. What are your abilities? God is never going to have a purpose where he don't put the abilities in you.
Yeah.
What are your passion?
Right.
What are you really? I like sharing with people. I like helping people.
Yeah.
What are you passionate about? What do you like? That's how God leads us into purpose. And he's speaking all these different ways.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a full circle moment. Like even when we think about the How to Win podcast, I started off trying to do my YouTube channel. I'm thinking it's for me, but the stuff that I learned, that I was self-taught, some of the things that I learned is now helping you in your ministry. So I think that it's all like, there's all connections and a lot of stuff. Because I never in a million years would have thought that I would be helping you in this capacity. I worked in church.
I never thought that.
Right.
I went to you. I said, help me. Listen, you remember why I got stuck? And I went to her and I said, will you help me?
And I never in a million years would have thought, because I originally when I came, I was working in the fitness area, and it's just interesting to me how it has a full circle moment.
But we make purpose too spooky.
Yeah.
Okay, we angels got to pop up.
Right.
I got to have visions and dreams. No,
Right.
God is leading us. That's why I said the first step, acknowledge him. Say, God, I want to know your purpose. God, lead me in your purpose.
Yeah.
Acknowledge him. The Bible says he'll direct your path.
Right.
Listen, God is so desirous of us walking in purpose, is that he's already helping us, but many times we don't even know it. For example, we're here now.
Right.
Tiffany mentioned something that I have to give you context. As a little girl, when I first went on television, I asked Tiffany to do commercials with me.
Yeah.
And Tiffany would stand up by me. She never said anything, but she would stand up by, and she'd just be blinking her eyes. She'd blinking her eyes. And people would say, hey, I saw your commercial and I saw your daughter. They just kept saying, I saw your daughter. Well, think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, that was God leading in you. And listen, God is leading everybody. God is leading you.
Yeah.
We just are not aware of it, but it begins with acknowledge him. Not Ephesians, but Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart.
Yeah.
Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. I submit to you, listener, and I submit to you, Tip, that God is always leading us into our purpose.
I think the challenge for a lot of people is the leaning into your own understanding part.
Yes. Law school.
Yeah. Because our understanding is like, I just don't see how this going to work. This just don't look like it's supposed to go in the trajectory that it's supposed to go in, So I think for a lot of people, where people can get lost a lot of times is the leaning not into your own understanding. Because you ain't going to always understand it. But when you think about the peoples in the Bible, like when he told Abraham to leave your family, I don't think people really understand how deep that was for you to leave everything that you've known. Like, say, for instance, now, if God told you right now to leave Birmingham and go to Africa or to go somewhere overseas, that would be something foreign to you.
It would be challenging.
Yeah.
It would be challenging, but I have experience now. Your purpose will surprise you. I was sharing at a church not too long ago, is God leads us one step at a time. And a big part of the way God operates is surprise.
Yeah.
I submit to you, if you acknowledge God and say, God, I want your direction. I want to live out my purpose for your life that you've established for me, you're going to be surprised at the journey.
Yeah.
The Bible says his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. His ways are higher than our ways.
Yeah.
So God has a plan, and much of the time you're going to be surprised about it. I'm surprised that I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I was surprised that we were building a 3,000 feet dome sanctuary.
I can't, when
Debt free.
Listen, when you think about, because I grew up, in the Word, so I listened to all of your teaching, but I guess as I got older, to actually think about the fact that you built this building debt free is wild to me. Like, that is I don't think people really understand how wild and how much faith you had to really be in to do that.
Well, I think faith, teamwork, vision, people, it's a composite of ingredients, but the key is submitting. See, sometimes people haven't given up their dream.
Yeah.
And I think many people, they have a dream and then they say, God bless it.
Yeah.
They say, God bless it. So it's really God blessing what they thought up.
Yeah.
Their direction. I think that we should begin by asking God, okay, God, what is your dream for me? What do you see me doing? What is your, and with that, submit to it, which means sometimes you have to lay aside your dream, because law school was my dream.
Yeah.
But what I've discovered that anything that you lay aside, any sacrifice you make, God has some better in mind.
How do you stay focused with all of the things that you been through, walking with God? How did you stay focused despite obstacles when it came to your purpose?
Here this is simple. Staying focused is simple. Take the time, and I'm talking to you now. You take the time to get the mind of God. Take the time. Don't just rush out and do something. Pray, spend time with God, meditate in the Word. Take the time to get the mind of God.
Yeah.
Now, when you get the mind of God, understand that we're not in heaven. There's an enemy, and then there are people.
Yeah.
And everybody's not going to like your dream. Everybody's not going to support your dream. And then there's Satan and demons, and they're going to try to stop you any way they can. Persecution, trouble, anything they can throw at you.
Yeah.
They're going to try to stop you. But if you got the mind of God, it'll keep you.
Yeah.
If you hoping and wishing it's going to work out, the only thing that's ever kept me is that I tried to take the time to get the mind of God.
Yeah.
Now, what we're doing now is the mind of God.
Do you think mentorship played a role in that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think God brings people into your life that can help you get to another place. My father in the faith, Dr. Fred Price, was critical in my destiny journey. So for you, it may be your father in the faith. For you, it may be a mentor. For you, it may be a coach, a life coach, or whatever. But mentorship is key to you getting through your destiny journey. Nobody gets through their destiny journey alone.
Yeah. And what I'm realizing too is that it's an investment. Like I don't think a lot of times people understand the importance of investing in the coach or mentor, and sometimes it may take finances, sometimes it may not. But for me, I in the past 2 years, I spent finances on finding a mentor. And I think a lot of times, I understand the finances can be a challenge, but believe in God for the finances, because a lot of times your mentor, you may have to spend some finances on it. But I tell people all of that, even with, as health coaching, like you have to invest in your health. It's going to take some finances and resources also too, in order to fulfill some of the purpose that you have.
You know what I've learned? People talk about lack of money. People invest in what they want. Yeah. What they really desire, they will find a way to invest in it. And so for me, it's time investment, money investment, is discomfort investment.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think about the discomfort part. It's persecution investment. You got to invest in anything if you're going to be successful. Are we out of time?
We are, but before you end us, I want you in the audience, if you feel like this conversation has been impactful, if it's been powerful, you may have a coworker who is struggling with understanding their purpose, you may have a family member, send them the link to this video and let them listen to this video, because I feel like it will be helpful.
And, I think we're talking about timing in our next thing.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to pull some of this in our next episode. I think.
So I feel like purpose and timing can kind of all go together.
Purpose, God's plan for your life.
Yeah.
Because purpose is that big dream that God has for you, but His plan is how you walk out. How you walk out that purpose, and then there's a timing connected to that. I think we'll get into that.
What are some of the resources? Because you got years of teaching. Can you, off the top of your head, think about some resources that you?
Mike Moore did a 3-lesson series. Okay. And I talked about fulfilling your purpose. Okay. I talked about potential.
What was the name of it? We'll figure it out. But yeah,
we'll figure it out. If you contact us and ask us about our series on purpose, we'll get that information.
Because on the app, there's some things on purpose too that people can.
Yeah.
So those are some practical things that people can do.
We'll get it to you.
Yeah.
And then I think some of it will come out in our next episode. Yeah. Let us know if this new format is blessing you. The word's still the answer. We're still sharing the word, but we're trying to pull in different scenarios, different themes, different topics, and let us know if you're getting blessed through this new format. I want to thank you so very much for taking out this time. Please share the podcast with others, How to Win podcast, and let them know about it, and I believe God will bless you for it.
Well, I enjoyed talking to you.
I enjoyed talking to you.
It's been good. I hope they catch us on the next one.
Yes, they'll catch us on the next time. Right. I look forward to seeing you next time. I love you. Bye. Pray that you have a great week.
Are you ready to break free from the chains of anxiety, stress, and depression? Mike Moore, author and founding pastor of Faith Chapel and host of the How to Win podcast, is here with his new book, Help, My Mind is Under Attack. Learn how to overcome attacks on your mind and live an emotionally healthy life. Grab your copy now. Available as ebook on Amazon and paperback on MikeMoore.com. Embark on your journey to complete mental health and emotional peace.